What's up, everyone? Welcome to the very first episode of the Columbus Blue Jackets BAGM. Now, this is the first official time I've recorded with my new computer, so I don't know how the sound is going to be. It might be really weird. It might be really clear. I have no idea. I'm just going out on a limb and hoping that it's going to be good. I did a couple minor tests, but nothing very long. So, welcome to the Columbus Blue Jackets BGM. Now, I did use my own custom rosters. So this episode we're going to go over our roster. I'm going to save all the other changes that I made for the offseason because a lot of the changes that I made were within the upcoming draft class because I wanted to make as many 4.5-star prospects as possible so that the first 5 years of this each team would be able to get a good prospect because after about 3 to 4 years EA doesn't generate prospects properly, so it just kind of screws up. So I made a lot of prospect changes of already existing prospects that haven't been quite drafted yet. Some of which you'll see immediately on our team. There's quite a few different ones. A lot of it was based on hockeysfuture.com. I use that site a lot, and I used a lot of own personal assessments of certain prospects as well as points leaders in the minor or the junior leagues and stuff like that. So, and draft status. I believe most of every lottery pick in the last 2 or 3 years of drafting, the last 2 years, the Ekblad and McKinnon drafts, both of those drafts, everyone in the lottery is a 4.5-star player, and some other first rounders are also 4.5-star players. So let's get into our own team. That's the important part. I already set the lines to what they're going to be, but I'm going to show you the entire organization before I show you how I am initially going to set this team up. So a recurring theme with this is you're going to see a lot of bad contracts and old diminishing players who are shells of their former selves if they were even that good to begin with. So let's get into this. So at the top of our roster, we are very good. We have Ryan Johansson, Nick Foligno, who signed for the next 7 years at a very fair $5.5 million price. He probably won't stay around for that entire contract, but that's something I'll get into when I discuss what I want out of this team long term. Jack Johnson signed to a very fair deal. The bankrupt man himself will make sure that he becomes our not highest paid player, but he'll be paid very well. His next, it's a sad story. For those of you that don't know, Jack Johnson, his parents signed away his entire life earnings or whatever, so he is millions of dollars in debt, more than he's probably ever going to earn as an NHLer. So he's pretty much going to be living in debt his entire life. He's already bankrupt, I believe. So Brandon Dubinsky, who's going to be our second line center, paid very steeply. And I'll discuss the contract situation with a lot of these guys after. Scott Hartnell signed at $4.75 for the next 5 years. So that's another bad contract. Dubinsky signed for 6 years. Fedor Tutin, who's making $4.5 for the next 4 years. Artem Anisimov, who's actually paid pretty well, and he is probably going to play our first line. But I'll show you the lines in a couple minutes. Ryan Murray, who has struggled to come along so far because of injury, but he's still has the chance to be a very, very good defenseman. So you also have Boone Jenner, who's got 4 yellow stars, still on his rookie deal, and he's going to be a good center for a good young center for us. David Clarkson, who is one of the players I actually didn't change at all. I left him at 83 4-stars. $5.2 million until the sun burns out. It's actually not as bad as it was a couple years ago, I think, when he was signed. Now it's only, I believe, it's 6 years still, so it's still kind of bad. I thought it was only 5 now, but we got Mark Letestu, $1.25 million this year. Cam Atkinson, who's making $3.5 for the next 4 years, which is a little steep of a price for an 81 overall. But I like Cam Atkinson. He's personally one of my favorite players to watch. David Savard, who's 81 overall, 23 years old. He's going to be playing top 4 minutes for us because, as you see, our defensive situation is bad. He is our 4th best defenseman. Jack Skill, who's probably going to be playing the 4th line. Rene Bourque, same situation. He has a good expiring deal next year. So Luke Adams, 4th liner. Falk, top-bottom pairing defenseman. Kevin Connaughton, who's someone I actually want to try and progress as much as possible within this first year. Maybe get him up to like an 81, 82 overall. I like Kevin Connaughton. I think he's a good player, but I didn't want to make him too good. I didn't want to give him some sort of um, you know, kind of silver lining. He's 77 overall, 3.5 gold stars. And Jared Boll, the longest tenured Blue Jacket, who is signed for 1.7 for the next 3 years, is probably going to be the first on this team gone. Maybe Rene Bourque before him, or Skill. That entire fourth line I'm not severely happy with. So, that being said, we'll go to look at goalies real quick. Obviously, we got Sergei Bobrovsky, who's overpaid, but still signed for 4 years at, or is that 5 years, I guess, at $7.5 million almost. He's 90 overall, good solid player. And Curtis McElhinney is an okay backup. And then in the minors for goalies, we have 2 4 yellow star or better. We have Anton Forsberg, who's 4 yellow, and Oscar Dance, who's 4 green. Basically, I went on Hockey's Future, and basically the way I did it was 7 would get 4 stars. Like they have a prospect rating system, or a talent score, which is basically it's out of 10, and it's a lot of players generally fall in between 6 and 8, depending on how good they are, like projected to be. And so if they were 7, as in Anton Forsberg's case, they get a 4 star. At 7.5, like Oscar Dansk would get a 4 green star. And then, as you'll see when we go to forwards, someone like Kirby Reichel, who got a 8 or higher, will get a 4 yellow star. Jonathan Drouin is the only player that had like a 9, and I believe I gave him 4.5 green. I gave him and Nathan McKinnon 4.5 green out of the existing players, as well as Tyler Sagan, but that was a completely, I'll go over all that. And I did load up this GM mode a couple different times to try and fix the EA changing potentials when you mess with the roster kind of thing. They just randomly change certain players' potentials. And this time, I don't remember who it was Nicholas Backstrom, but he's already maxed out anyway. Like, he's not going to progress anymore, so. Anyway, we're going to go into the minors. So, our top 2 prospects are Oliver Bjorkstrand and Kirby Reichel, 2 wingers, so they can possibly make a formidable top line with Ryan Johansson in the future. That would be awesome. Bjorkstrand's a great sniper, and Reichel's a power forward. So that's kind of the ideal line you want: playmaker, sniper, power forward. We'll look at Bjorkstrand. I changed his attributes around a little bit. I gave him a great shot, and I kind of balanced it a little more, because I found this problem with a lot of players, and this is still going to happen when they generate prospects anyway, and I didn't do it for everyone anyway, so that's also a thing, is that the power on shot is always ridiculously higher than the accuracy, which is hard to build a prospect around. Like, when his power will be like 95 and his accuracy will be like 78, so his overall will be like 85, and he still has a bad shot even though he's a sniper. So I tried to mitigate that issue as much as I could, at least early on. Bjorkstrand I have high hopes for. I think he can be an excellent sniper. He already has a great shot. So then Kirby Reichel is already 77 overall, 19. I think 1 year in the minors will be good for him. I didn't really change his shot around much because he's a power forward. Obviously, they're going to have a lot harder shots than accurate shots, and he is really well balanced in kind of everything. His skating's a little bit slow, but I mean, he is a power forward, 200 pounds. He's also left-handed, so I wonder if Bjorkstrand is right-handed. Alright, so I'm going to try something different this time. Last time I put players on their opposite wings. Like, Ovechkin is a right-handed player who plays on the left wing, so he's on his forehand a lot. And I don't know how that affects this. I don't know how their handedness and their position affect the simulation at all, but I'm going to leave them on their naturally listed positions as much as possible. The only thing I'm going to do is if someone comes up, like, say, Wenberg and Carlson both get to, like, 85, I'll play Carlson on the wing or something like that. Like, I'll change positions. If we run into an issue where there's too many of one certain winger, I'm going to try and avoid that as much as possible. But anyway, as it stands right now, the top 2 lines, if all our prospects worked out perfectly and none of them lag behind, which is unbelievably, like, that's not going to happen. Our top line would be Johansson, Bjorkstrand, Reichel. Our second line would be Wenberg, Milano, and Marco Dano. However, Milano's way far behind in his development, so it would be more like maybe William Karlsson, Marco Dano, and Alex Wimberg. And I'll show you the minors how I have it set up when we get there too. And then we have Brian Gibbons is already maxed out. Calvert, who's listed as depth forward, so we threw him in the minors. I believe he's already played a season in the NHL, though. Parts of, the last couple seasons. But, again, we'll put him in the minors because he is listed as a depth forward. And Jeremy Morin is in the same boat, where he could be on the NHL team as a fourth or third liner, and he's already has NHL experience, but, he's listed as a depth forward, so I want to keep it that way, and after that, it's just shit. Dana Terrell is actually a pretty good depth forward, and he can play center if needed. He's a good depth player to have. I haven't really decided what depth players I want on my roster yet. I'm thinking it's going to be probably Dana Terrell is going to be one of them. I don't know who the other will be. I think I actually have enough right now for depth. Yeah, I don't think Bowl is addressed currently. I think it's Bork, Skilly, and Bowl. So he's probably my depth guy right now. But as you can see, the main problem with this team, we got a bunch of good forward prospects, and then the defense is just shit. Dylan Hetherington is 4 Green Star, but he's a defensive defenseman, so even then he's not going to turn into anything really. Will Weber is already 25, even though he's 3 Green Star. And Dalton Prout is at 3 Red Star, so he's definitely not going to turn into anything. So this defensive is depleted. We do already have David Savard and Ryan Murray in the NHL, but that's not good enough. Tootin is only 84, and he's already 31 years old, and he could easily be traded if the right deal comes along. So I'm not going to immediately... The defensive prospects are going to end up being an issue. So... I'll show you how I arrange the lines. I'm kind of going back and forth on the Clarkson thing because I don't really know what I want to do with that. I put him on the second line. I bounced him back and forth. Him and Cam Atkinson were candidates for that second line winger spot. I believe Clarkson's actually listed as a second liner if I go to roster moves. So that was why I eventually listed him on the second line, and I put him on the second line. But I'm not 100% sure on that now that I think about it. No, there isn't. Okay, he's not a second liner. We have 4 third line scorers, and Clarkson just kind of got the benefit of the doubt because I wanted to play Jenner at center, and I wanted to put Letestu and Atkinson on the same line. So that's just how, Clarkson ended up being up there. Or if I didn't play Atkinson with Letestu, I wanted to put Atkinson on the second line over Letestu was my point, and I didn't want to really split those two up because I wanted them to kind of, the veteran, solid NHL player would help out the younger Atkinson, who's played a couple years in the NHL, and he's obviously still a budding player, but could definitely be boosted by Letestu's playmaking ability. He's an excellent offensive player. His defense is actually not that bad either. He is definitely a really good offensive player, though, and he's going to be getting power play time, too, as you'll see. And we got a bunch of fourth liners here. Jared Bowl is on the team. He is the oldest, or the longest tenured Blue Jacket, and I'm actually going to put him in instead of Skill, just so he gets playing time. He's also, I believe, an alternate captain. I looked it up. I thought Jack Johnson was their captain. I swore Jack Johnson was the captain of the Blue Jackets. I could have swore he was. But apparently he's not, and apparently it's a vacant position. And it's Brandon Dubinsky, Jack Johnson, Jared Bowl, and I think Matt Letestu, or I can't remember if it's Matt or Mark. It's the Letestu we have on our team, though. And I can't remember if I made Letestu or Bowl our third alternate. And this is definitely subject to change after the first season. I definitely hope it does. Now I put Letestu. I'm going to leave it like that. Bowl is the oldest Blue Jacket, yes, but... at the same, I wish they had a roster foundation like they did in MLB, so I could see who the oldest one was later on down the line when I'm looking to give A's out. But I'm thinking early candidates for captain are Johansson, Foligno, and Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson's definitely the front runner. I definitely prefer a defenseman to be the captain, considering that the defenseman usually impacts their team in every way. And a lot of the captains around the NHL are defensemen, like the good captains you think of, like Shea Weber and Zdeno Chara those kind of players. Trying to think of more, but there is actually, as I think about it, a lot of forwards who are captains. But like Ryan McDonough. When I'll give you a perfect example. Last year, the New York Rangers needed a new captain. I don't remember exactly. Oh yeah, they traded. Did they trade? Yeah, they traded Ryan Callahan. I couldn't remember who their captain was. They traded Ryan Callahan for Martin St. Louis, and they had a vacant captaincy, and they named Ryan McDonough to it. There are a lot of very valid cases for several players on that team that have been on that team for a while or were very veteran, but they gave it to the young. I wouldn't really say Ryan McDonough is young. He's like 25 at this point, but the younger defenseman, not really a veteran. He's not really a proven leader. He's a leader, sure, but wouldn't really say he's a proven leader quite yet. But I'm trying to keep my eye on the Capitals game too while I'm recording this, so sorry if I'm I don't really think I sound distracted, but I'm definitely looking over right now, so you're not seeing a whole lot on the screen. Anyway, so I'll show you the lines again. So the top line, Foligno, Johansson, Anisimov, Hartnell, Dubinsky, Clarkson, second line. I was going to put Hartnell with Anisimov, but then I felt like all the scoring would be on that. Like, the scoring would be on the top line, yes, but then we wouldn't have any scoring on the second line. I want to do a better job of trying to spread out scoring in this GM than I did last time when it was all about our top line has to perform, and they usually did okay, but the second line ended up being better half the time anyway. So Letestu, Jenner, and Atkinson. Letestu is a center, so I put him on the left wing because Atkinson was a right wing. If Atkinson was a right wing, I would have put him on the left wing. I want to do a better job of keeping players in their natural positions, which is another reason that Hartnell ended up on the second line, is because it would have created a situation where we have two left wingers on the top line, and we already have centers playing out of position anyway. Like Anisimov's a center, and Letestu's a center, and they're not playing in their positions. But everyone else, I think, is Anisimov is left-handed. Is Foligno left-handed too? Okay, so they're both left-handed. So Anisimov's kind of just there because I wanted Dubinsky to play center, and I need another winger, and I didn't want it to be Scott Hartnell. And David Clarkson was our best right winger on the roster. So we'll take a run at David Clarkson on that second line, but if he's like a significant minus, like -5 or worse, and he has like no points in like 20 games, then yeah, I'm going to move him down definitely. I'll move Atkinson up and kind of go from there. Maybe bring up one of our minor league snipers like Matt Calvert. And Matt Calvert and the other, I can't remember, I'll look real quick. Matt Calvert and Jeremy Morin are not really going to be used as roster players in my eyes. They're more kind of in the minors to get better so that we can trade them or use them as trade chips possibly. That top line's really good. Like that, I like that top line, like as it stands right there. So if we could get another player for our top 6 down the line, I think our top 6 would be rounded out pretty nicely even if we kept Foligno. Because I see Reichel definitely working out. Oh, Bjorkstrand. I forgot about Bjorkstrand. So, if we keep Nick Foligno as a second liner by that point, that would be pretty nice. Or even a first liner, and we could, I don't know, we'll see how, see how things work out. But my long-term plan for this team is to let a lot of the bad older players' contracts play out. And the first 3 or 4 bad contracts that come to mind are Brandon Dubinsky, Scott Hartnell, David Clarkson, and Fedor Tutin, who's actually playing top line minutes for us. This is our defensive pairing, by the way. And I'll show power play and penalty kill in a minute, too. The good thing about having all these power forward, two-way forwards, and grinders are that we have a lot of, definitely have a plethora of, I just realized we only have 3. We have 2 playmakers and a sniper on our team. That's crazy. Well, 2 out of, like, all those spots. That's really crazy. But the good part about having a lot of two-way forwards is ramping up the power play and penalty kill is really nice. So that's our defense. So that entire second line is the line of awful contracts, and for the most part, I'd like to let them play out while we kind of figure out an identity for our team. However, I guarantee one of these guys are going to have to be traded after next year because Ryan Johansson's only on a 2-year deal, and there's no way we're not going to re-sign him. or let him enter restricted free agency, because he is a top line center, a young budding top line center. He had 63 points last year, and he had, I believe, 70 in the NHL this year. So we definitely want to give him as much opportunity to score as possible. And Nick Foligno is there to help him. He's our best winger. Had a breakout year in the NHL this year. As you can see, he's kind of a slow, steady point every 2 game guy the last few years, but he definitely broke out this year, and that's why I gave him a good shot, good puck skills. He's a great two-way forward, and he's basically going to be our, go-to guy on every line. Penalty kill, power play, 5-on-5. He's going to be the everyman for us. And so my long-term plan is to let some of those contracts play out. Maybe hope these guys retire early. Not Dubinsky. Dubinsky can easily be traded, because someone said it the best. I don't remember who it was, but there's no such thing as an untradeable contract if you're willing to part with assets, which I'd say is true. So if we throw on, let's say we throw on Clarkson and we just get something stupid, and I've saved beforehand, so obviously I'm not going to let this take effect, but let's say we wanted to get rid of David Clarkson in his 7-year contract. He's got bad trade value. Really bad trade value. We go to some team like Arizona. We're like, give us Mark Arcabello. They still don't want the contract. So we take about $1 million off of it. Okay, never mind. I thought that would do it. Take $1.5 million off of it. Wow, I thought that would actually do it, to be completely honest. Alright. Then after that, we'll throw a 2nd-round pick on there. Or a 3rd-round pick. I thought this would honestly work. So let's go to a different team. Let's go to Buffalo. And we'll trade David Clarkson and a 3rd-round pick for, someone random. Go for a defenseman or something. Josh Georges. He's a good player who can help us now. He's on a bad contract as well. They'll take that. So if we're willing to put an asset on the trade for something that's not nearly as good for something that we need on our team, we can definitely get rid of David Clarkson or Scott Hartnell. Scott Hartnell might be a little easier to get rid of. But my point is that that group of bad contracts is something that I'd like to kind of, get rid of completely. But again, we'll see where this team goes. I definitely want to not do anything for the first year. Especially considering all the changes that I've made up to this point anyway. Well, my computer's got really bright for no reason. So that's the first episode. It's just kind of the team introduction and line introduction. I'm going to show you the power play real quick, and then we will be out of here, because I don't think I did that. First, I got to turn the brightness down on my computer. That made it brighter. Alright. So this is power play. Foligno, Johansson, Hartnell, Johnson. Why is Murray up there? I had Connaughton on there. I want to get Connaughton as many points as possible. What happened to... Oh, we have Okay, this is... Sorry. I'll show you the lines next episode. Hopefully I remember. But, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for the next episode.